Hello and welcome to the Snickerdoodle Knits YouTube channel. I am Jessica, the knitter and designer behind Snickerdoodle Knits, and today I am going to talk about how to cast on for your new knitting project. What you will need for your cast on is the yarn that you plan to work your project in and one knitting needle. Now, while you're typically knitting, you will need 2 knitting needles, but for the cast on, you only need 1 knitting needle. To get started, you will need to know how to work a slip knot. If you're not familiar with how to work a slip knot, take the tail of your yarn, wrap it around your 2 fingers, the index finger and the middle finger, twice, so you have 2 wraps. Take the outside loop, pull over the inside loop, and take the outside loop and pull over the inside loop again, pushing the inside loop up and through, and letting go of that outside loop to create a knot. Now you will find that you're able to slip the yarn so that you can move the knot around. You will then put your slip knot on your knitting needle to perform the cast on. Now let's do that one more time in case you're not familiar with a slip knot. Take the tail of your yarn, wrap it around your fingers twice. Bring the outer loop over the inner loop, outer loop over the inner loop, and bring the inner loop up through and the outer loop off your finger. And then pull it and put it on your knitting needle. Now when you're performing your slip knot, make sure that you leave enough of a tail that you can weave your tail in at the end of your knitting project. When you put your slip knot on your knitting needle, you want to make sure that the knot is secure, but not too tight. Now, let's start our cast on. To get started, we need to have our yarn wrapped around our fingers correctly. We will use our left hand to wrap the yarn around. Now let's get started. First, wrap the working yarn, which is the yarn that is attached to your ball of yarn. Wrap that yarn around your thumb. Then bring the index through, and you will find that it's fairly natural to just hold the yarn with your pinky. Some people choose to not hold the yarn here, but I find that it is easier to keep it tensioned correctly when I have my yarn held securely. Now, just bring your knitting needle under the bottom strand of yarn, and bring it up over the top strand of yarn, and then bring it through, let go of the yarn, and fasten it securely on your knitting needle. Let's do that once more. Make sure that your yarn is wrapped around your fingers. Bring your knitting needle under the bottom strand, over the top strand, and bring the yarn off. There, we've already cast on 2 stitches. Your slip knot will count as your first stitch. So if your pattern tells you to cast on 10 stitches, you will have your slip knot plus 9 stitches, and that will be your cast on. Here we have 10 stitches cast on. When you begin to work your knitting pattern, you will just take up this needle and work from these stitches. Now you are ready to work on the rest of your knitting project. If you are looking for more knitting tutorials, you can find tutorials on how to knit, purl, and perform other techniques on the Snickerdoodle Knits YouTube channel. I hope to see you there. Happy knitting!